Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Mythlok with your host Nitin Nair. Today is a day of great excitement. As our podcast listeners always know, I get really excited when we launch a new mythology on our podcast. And today is one of those days. As we had mentioned in one of our previous episodes where we did Aboriginal mythology, that we are looking into Oceanian mythology as well. Mythology from the islands of Polynesia, Melanesia, Australia, New Zealand and the rest. Today we are really happy and proud to introduce Maori mythology into our mix. And what better way to start discussing the Maori mythology than to talk about Tiki, who was the first man. In the mythology of some cultures such as the Maori, it is believed that the god Tumatauenga created the first man of earth who was named Tiki. He met a beautiful woman in a lake and they eventually married. The more commonly known structures called Tikis today are generally carved out of stone or wood and they come in the form of a humanoid figure. These carvings are used to mark sacred sites. The actual physicality of Tiki is not known, but he is said to have created all human beings in his own image. In some cultures, such as the west coast of New Zealand, Tiki is a creator of humans, mixing his own blood with clay and is considered to be the son of Rangi and Papa. The god Dane then makes the first woman, who then marries Tiki. In other stories, Tiki marries the first woman, Marikoriko, and has a daughter named Hinkawatata. One of the stories about Tiki shows that he was lonely and always looking for company. One day he saw his reflection in a pool and thought he found a companion, but he was disappointed. He then covered the pool with earth and it gave birth to a woman. The woman one day was aroused by an eel, which then passed on to Tiki, and the first reproductive act was consummated. Although Tiki is credited as being the first man, various stories also talk about him being given new names based on his role in creating the other inhabitants on earth. They include Tiki Tohua, who is the progenitor of birds, Tiki Kapa Kapa, the progenitor of fish and the tui bird, Tiki Awaha, the progenitor of humanity, and most importantly, Tiki Wakaia, the progenitor of the sweet potato, which is the staple diet of the Maori people. Tiki was not only the first man, he was also actively involved in the creation of the universe with ultimate powers. He is also considered to be a guardian of sorts for the Maori people, and offerings are made by the worshippers for all aspects of their life, including protection of the souls of the dead. Tiki is a common figure in modern Maori pop culture, where the symbol of the wooden tiki has become synonymous with the native tribes of New Zealand. Representation in art, television and all forms of entertainment usually tends to cover references to all Polynesian mythologies. This is mainly because Tiki can be said to be a commonality between all of the Polynesian and Oceanian mythologies. They all have the stories of the creator man or the first man who came on earth and then created all the other human beings in his image. Although they might be called by different names, the stories are too similar in terms of origin and the activity for us to completely turn a blind eye to the fact that all of this might have been under one umbrella mythology at some point of time. Thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of Mythlok. This is your host Nitin Nair, signing out by reminding you once again that Mythlok is the home of mythology. Before we log off completely, I would just like to remind you to do give a like to our podcast, subscribe if you're on Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, or even if you listen to it on Spotify, Amazon Music, or Savan. Please go ahead and give us a like and support us so that we can keep bringing you a lot more on mythology and the different cultures from around the world.